I want to thank you for being part of my experience and letting me be part of your experience today. I just want to start out saying that, I am truly, truly blessed today. It wasn't always like that, but today I am truly blessed with good friends, a great life. And that's what I want to kind of talk to you about. Kind of like moving from scarcity or lack to abundance. And I want to tell you how I went about it, but first I need to share a little bit of my experience with you. I was brought up pretty much in a life that was full of lack, scarcity. I was taught early on, there's never enough of this, there's not enough of that, and you got to work, you got to save every penny, and things weren't, we never measured up, or I never measured up in my family's eyes, and it was because of that belief that was instilled in me. And what happened as a result, I lived my life as if it were true. Things that I were taught weren't necessarily right, but they were my role models, they were my mentors, and the things that they taught me is what I carried on in life. And it led to a lot of grief in my life, a lot of grief. I'll start out with relationships. I never measured up in relationships. I was never good enough. That was my belief. So I bounced around from relationship to relationship, trying to find happiness and peace in other people. And, it didn't work. What I thought was love was lust. What I thought about saving money, what I learned later, it was greed. And the greed will come back and get you. It really will. If you're greedy with your finances or whatever, in your life, it will come back and get you, because it did for me. I remember one time my grandfather, I was in my 20s, I was married to my first wife at the time, and the big thing back then, instead of, we had a patio out back, I had a patio out back, and the big thing back then was Future Stone, okay? That was, in the 70s, that was the thing to get, and everybody wanted it, and for that time it was pretty expensive. And I remember my grandfather sitting there telling me, he says, you know what, that's not for people like us. And, it stuck with me all these years. What do you mean it's not for people like us? And I asked him that. He said, well, we're not supposed to have stuff like that, In other words, we just go to work in the factory, come home, save all your money, take care of your family, and that's good enough. But I always wanted more. I always thrived for more, but I was so insecure from the beliefs that I had in my life that I was never able to accomplish anything. My first job I did stay at for 12 years. I was able to do that. But I remember I always lived from paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes barely did that. And I could never figure out why. I mean, my grandfather always said save money. Heck, I can't save anything, it was gone. It didn't help that I drank and did drugs, but, that was always probably a big portion of the money, but it was like that for so many years. I remember back in like 1985, I had to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I just couldn't pay my bills, and within 4 or 5 months, I was back broke again. And I didn't have credit cards, none of that. I just spent money frivolously. I could never save anything, and that continued on for years and years. Probably up to about 2 years ago, I was living, and by this time I had found recovery and quit doing drugs and quit drinking. But I was still always broke. I had the behaviors of somebody that was still out there using. And I talked a good game. I went to meetings. I talked to others, but I just couldn't control my own life. I always knew what to say to someone else. oh, maybe you should try this, maybe you should try that. And up until probably a couple years ago, I was broke all the time. I mean, it was to the point, you know, grant you know, I'm clean and sober. It was to the point, I got paid every 2 weeks, and I got paid pretty well. And I was taking out payday loans. I was getting online, taking out payday loans. I remember having like 5 payday loans going at one time. I was just nuts. I didn't know if I was coming or going, or, you know, I didn't know what to do. I mean, I didn't understand it because, you know, I'm not doing drugs or anything, and my bills aren't that much. You know, what is going on? Something is going on. Well, what I found out, I have a thinking problem. I had a God problem, a lack of God in my life. You know, today I just want to share this with you. God in my life is wonderful. I am truly, truly blessed. You know, and I'm glad that He found me. You know, He really did. He found me because I was so lost. It's not that I didn't believe in God. It was just like, yeah, okay. You know, I believe in God. You know, do the foxhole prayers. You know, God, get me out of this mess, and you know, then I can move forward. You know, but it didn't work. God's got a sense of humor too. You know, He let me, you know, get myself buried in a deep hole, and then lo and behold, there He was to rescue me, and only by the grace of God, you know, am I sitting here talking to you today. And I want to tell you how I did it. I started probably a year or so ago reading books. You know, I read a lot of books from Marianne Williamson, and she always talked about this Course in Miracles stuff, you know. And I'm like, man, what is that? It sounds really cool. And everything. She talked about Course in Miracles. And today I have what I call a life coach, and he's one of my best friends, and he does that for a living. And I kept talking about Course in Miracles, and lo and behold, I went and go see him. He gave me a copy of the Course in Miracles, brand new book. You know, I was so thrilled. You know, I dove right into it. You know, and so I've been a student of the course for a little over a year. You know, and I come to a Wednesday night study group to study the course, and it's really enhanced my life. To be a better person, to be more productive. But what I had to do, and I'm going to look at my notes because I bounce around, so if I look at my notes, I'll keep on track here. What I do today, I see the world as abundant. You know, it's a providing, friendly place. Because before, I always saw it as lack. There was never enough of anything. You know, because you turn on the news, you know, the deficit, you know, look how broke the state of Illinois is, you know, and you see the hungry kids. There was never enough of anything. But through working or living the Course in Miracles, I found that there's an abundance of everything. So what I had to do was challenge the way that I looked at things. The things I look at. You know, is it real or is it not? And when I look at things differently, things change. All right, as far as money, you hear time and time again when Greg's sitting up here with the offering, he says, money is just a symbol. You know, sometimes we hear that and we think, yeah. But you know what? It's true. Money is a symbol. It's just a piece of paper with numbers on it. That's all it is. And the way we look at it, the way we perceive that is if I gotta have it, it's probably going to put us in lack, or at least put me in lack. When I look at it in abundance, that, you know what, God is my source, He will provide for me. And my life began to change. I mean, within a few months, my life began to change. I had to look at my intentions. Okay, I had to make sure my intentions were genuine. You know, I could say, yeah, okay, you know, I believe that there's plenty of money, but at the same time, you know, I would say, well, you know, I hope I can get my part of it. Well, that's a self-defeating behavior. You know, either I'm going to look at the universe or God or my source in abundance, or I'm not. There's no in-between with it. It's either you're going to do it or you're not. At least for me, that's the way it was. I had to look at the universe or God with, you know, unlimited possibilities, and know that no matter what, God's going to take care of me. He will. He has. He does. But I was just so blind in my negative beliefs that I couldn't see it. He's taking care of me all the way along, through the what I call bad. But, now I look back on it, it really wasn't bad because it was a learning lesson to get me where I'm at today. So how can that be bad, right? It really can't. I'm receptive to a world that, that doesn't restrict anymore. I try to look at possibilities in my life. I see a world that wants me to be successful and abundant in all areas of my life. And it's not just money, in my relationships with others, my job, my family. That's how it works for me. And I look at it now, the universe doesn't conspire against me. It's my negative beliefs. When they arise, I didn't say if, but when they arise, conspires against the universe. So what I do today is really simple. The saying you hear all the time, let go and let God. And that's what I do. How do I do that? By taking a step out in faith. Just knowing no matter what, I will be taken care of. Think about the worst situation that ever happened to you in your life. You never thought you were going to get through it. Well, guess what? You're sitting here. You must have got through it. Right? The next thing I do, I affirm. I say affirmations. I attract success and abundance in my life because that's who I am now. So we can attract negativity into our life too. What's going to happen if you get up in the morning and say, you know what? It's a crappy day outside. Man, oh man. I don't want to go to work. I don't feel good. My life sucks. Well, how do you think your day is going to be? It's not going to be prosperous and abundant, is it? Probably not. Probably not. So I look at things in my life, even though I may not have something, I look at it as if I already have it. And I live my life as if I already have it. That works in relationships. That works in money. That works with whatever, you might desire. You live as if it's true. Because, the universe or God doesn't distinguish what is real and what isn't. It's what we put out there that comes back to us. And that's what I believe, And again, I'm just straight, just giving you my opinion on this. You may have different beliefs, but I'm just telling you what's worked for me is when I do that. Because I know God's going to give me everything I need and more. And, today, I don't live from paycheck to paycheck. Today I'm able to go out and buy things that I want, and within reason. I'm not going to go out and buy a new Hummer. That's out of reason for me, but things that I want. I just bought this computer yesterday. A year ago I'd never been able to do that. I've been so afraid to spend any money because I'm going to be broke. Well, you know what? I can spend the money today. I work for it, and I can spend it, and I can enjoy it. Because a lot of times we don't take time to enjoy the moment. Maybe you can relate to that in your life. We're so caught up in life's everyday struggles that we don't enjoy the moment. God's blessed us with today, with right now. And that's what's real. And that's what's positive. Give me a second here. Trying to learn how to use this thing too. There we go. If I have an attitude of resistance, that puts me in disharmony with abundance and my beliefs about my ability or my unworthiness. So I have to have an attitude of allowing good things to happen. Sometimes we're so ingrained in our belief systems that we believe we don't deserve anything. We don't deserve to be happy. Kind of like what my grandpa was telling me early on. People like us, we don't get things like that. But think about it, times in your life that, that you may not have said it out loud, but you had the thought of I don't measure up. I'm not good enough. You know, that guy in the tie must be really successful. I can't ever measure up to him. You know what? At the end of the day, he takes that tie off. So, yeah, you can measure up with him. You know, people in authority sometimes would intimidate me. But you know what? Not today, they don't. Because I'm okay in my own skin. And that's a result of a God of my understanding. You know, I picture good things coming to me. You know, it doesn't have to be monetary things. When I say good things, health, happiness, serenity, peace. I picture that daily. And I live my life that way. And that's abundance. You know, sometimes we think abundance just as monetary, money or material things. But that's, you know, that's just a small part of it. Because, you know, I heard Greg say one time, would you rather be rich or would you rather be happy? Well, you know, I choose to be happy. And that's how I live my life. Refuse to compromise. Refuse to compromise, you guys. I mean, it's because sometimes we think, well, that's good enough. You know, that's all I deserve. You know, I don't have enough money. Well, look at things in abundance. You know, God is a God of abundance that wants us to flourish, that wants us, you know, to have health, happiness, and prosperity. Because that's what life is about. It's not getting up being miserable, dreading your day. Oh, I'm sick today. You know, I really believe attitudes has a lot to do with healing of sickness too. And if you get up believing, you know, you may have some, you know, some illness, and you get up believing that, you know what, together, you know, God and I can conquer this. There's no power that's going to stop us from overcoming this. Well, guess what? You know, your likelihood is a lot better than saying, oh man, doctor says I only got 6 months. I'm going to die. You know, I don't care what the doctor says, you know. I go what God says, and that's what matters to me. You know, it doesn't matter what you know, people think or say, you know, and that's another thing. When we start putting our intentions out there, you know, we start being bold, some people are going to look at us as being greedy, self-centered. They're going to look at us as being, you know, egotistical. But living in abundance is really the opposite. That's your God-given right. So how can that be part of the ego if it's your God-given right? So other people are going to judge us. So what you have to do, what I had to do, is not worry about what other people think. You know, they don't make me happy. I make me happy. God makes me happy. You know, and again, that's what's important to me. Stay in the present. So many people struggle with staying in the present. That's one thing that I've learned to do within the last year when I've changed my thinking around. There's nothing in my past that can really help me. You know, I mean, that I can fix. The only reason I go back to the past if it's a tool to help someone else. Then I look back on my past experience to help somebody and to let them know how I got through it. Kind of like what I'm doing right now. Because right now, the moment, you know, look at the moment right now. Look at your life right now. You're sitting here. You've got everything you need right now in this moment. You got everything you need. Nobody looks like they're starving. People look like they're all clean and showered. I mean, we're not doing without. We're not lacking anything right now. You know, and that's what's important. We look too much of what we don't have, or about the future. Oh my God, my electric bill's due in a week. How am I going to pay it? Well, you know what you do? You let go and you let God. And I'm telling you, when you honestly do that, take that step out in faith, your electric bill's going to get paid. You have to do some footwork. I'm not just saying you sit back and lay in bed and do nothing. Okay, God pay my electric bill. It doesn't work that way. You have to do some footwork. But if you get quiet and you meditate and you think, the answer comes, the solution comes. Because I believe in my life, there's only one problem, one solution. The problem is, I'm not letting go and letting God. And the solution is, let go and let God. For any problem. You know, I've had people say, because I work in counseling, I have people say, well, I got this going on, I got that going on, you don't understand this, that. I say there's only one problem. You're lacking in your faith in God. Turn it over. Cast your care. Yeah, it's easier said than done. It takes practice. But you got to have the willingness, the heart, the desire to do this. And that's how it works. And I'm telling you, it works because it's happened in my life. And it's, I think it's so great to be able to share this gift of what happened in my life with other people. Because it is possible. You don't have to live in lack today. You don't have to be miserable. You don't have to be messed up and settle for. You deserve so much better than just to settle. You may be, in a bad relationship with someone, and you don't have to settle anymore. Because that's not God's will for you to settle. Sometimes, the ego gets in the way, and it's going to put all this fear in front of you. Well, I can't do this because I don't have a job, there's not enough money, there's not this and that. That's what the ego's going to do. That's the ego's job. But what you got to do, or what I had to do, I'll keep it on me, what I had to do is pretty much tell the ego, you know what, I'm not believing your lies anymore, your solutions. And I talk to the Holy Spirit daily, and I say, thank you for what I have today, not for what I don't have. And things happen. I want to feel good. I want to feel good every day. And I tell people I'm the happiest person I know. I am. And that's tough to beat. So, you got to make the choice to let go of a lifetime of beliefs and begin activating thoughts right now that allow you to feel good. And all you got to do is sit there, and you can silently say, I want to feel good. And that's how the process begins, just by saying it. I want to feel good. Like I said,